Hi guys, I'm attorney Darren Miller, a personal injury attorney here in Houston, Texas. So today we're going to be discussing a pipeline accident that happened near Deer Park and LaPorte. This caused many evacuations and affected the entire community. Let's talk about it. To give you a quick recap, on September the 16th, a vehicle struck a pipeline valve, leading to a fire burning for several days. Hundreds of people were evacuated and properties were at risk. The pipeline, owned by Energy Transfer, carried natural gas liquids, making the fire particularly dangerous.
Firefighters in Houston are dealing with a pipeline fire.
Yeah, they've been going at this thing all day today. It's unclear right now what caused that to happen. You see it right there. The Office of Emergency Management in LaPorte, which is just southeast of Houston, says that the blaze began just before 10 o'clock this morning. LaPorte fire crews evacuated homes and businesses within a half-mile of that fire. You can see them wetting down some of those structures near it because of the intense heat that was coming off of that. They know that this is gas that's coming from a pipeline owned by Energy Transfer. And right now, they don't have a lot of choices here. They're planning to just let this fire safely burn itself out.
So the first question that most plaintiffs' attorneys ask in a situation like this is, who is responsible for the damages that occur from this disaster? The first target, of course, is always going to be the owner of the property. Were they negligent in the maintenance of it? Did they fail to supervise? Should they have done more maintenance to hold the property to a higher standard such that issues like this don't occur? We don't know. We're going to have to investigate to find out what the situation is. Something that I'm concerned with, how come a vehicle was allowed to be on premises to where it subjected the structure to such an incident? That should not have happened. Who should have been paying attention? Was the person driving the vehicle the sole responsibility for this particular accident? Did they violate the rules of the procedures out there? We don't know. All these issues have to be investigated to see exactly who's at fault. In a situation like this, in most cases, I'm going to point the finger at every potential wrongdoer and make them essentially disprove that they did anything wrong in leading to the negligence that caused this disaster. The next question that you need to ask is, if you were injured because of this explosion, because of the negligence of the defendants, are you entitled to compensation? Absolutely a resounding yes. If you were injured because of someone else's negligence, you should be compensated and hold that person responsible. So what kind of damages can you have from this situation, right? What kind of physical damages can you have for a situation like this? In the past, we've had people with respiratory problems, breathing in things that they should not have. You have people with burns that have been injured at the scene directly. At other explosions, you have people fleeing and they get thrown to the ground and physical injuries. Sometimes there's PTSD from this that you can suffer, depending on the extent of your physical damages. So all these types of things are different types of physical damages that you're absolutely entitled to compensation for if you can prove that the defendant was negligent in their conduct. So personal injury is one component of those particular damages. The other component are the property claims that come from this disaster. Whether your car was damaged, whether you had a home that may have been burned, did you suffer property loss pursuant to the defendant's negligence? Those things are also damages that the defendant is going to be responsible for. Whether you're talking about personal injury damages or property damages, here in the state of Texas, you have 2 years from the date of the accident to move forward with your claim. If you don't file your claim, if you don't pursue your action within that time, you are going to be barred from recovery and you will get nothing. So make sure you get on top of this quickly in terms of documenting and addressing those particular issues as related to your damages, and make sure you pursue them quickly, because if you don't, you waive them and you won't get paid. So the next thing you have to figure out if you're involved in a situation like this is, what do you do? How do you protect yourself? What are the next steps that you need to take care of immediately? The first thing you need to do is properly secure yourself. Make sure that you're safe. These things are very unstable many times, so get the heck away. We don't know exactly what chemicals are being used at the situation, so make sure you get to a place where you're safe, or have protective breathing apparatus, which most of us don't have. Get to a safety zone. way, way away from the affected area. Number 2, seek medical attention. If you suspect that you have physical injuries, make sure that you go and address these things. I've had a client before that was fleeing from an accident who struck their head and kept going. Of course, it was a very dangerous situation, but they did not know that they had a brain bleed, and it got substantially worse and they almost died because they did not seek action to protect themselves early. Make sure you assume nothing. Get attention, get help, and don't take any chances, especially when the stakes are this high. Number 3, make sure you're documenting everything. Make sure you're putting together information to document your damages and what happened in your case, just in case you have to move it forward and the case doesn't get resolved and you have to move it forward towards litigation. The more you have information to put things in line as related to your case, the more that the other side is going to be forced to take your damages seriously and come to the table with a serious offer to get you out of their hair. I think it's really important to hire an attorney in a situation like this because many times these billion-dollar companies are not going to take you seriously if you don't. I've seen it time after time where they deal with these situations, and in most cases, if you're unrepresented, they're going to toss some small little tiny offer out there that is not enough to properly compensate you for your damages. If you have an attorney that is experienced, that is a litigation risk to the defendant, they're going to be forced to take you more seriously. The attorney should put together a more organized and a properly papered file for you such that the other side understands the extent of risk to them if the case does have to go to court, which means the offer to you should be higher. Now, I know most people don't want to pay attorney's fees to an attorney, but because the amount of the increase of the offer most times substantially outweighs that cost to you as the client, I always recommend to clients, even if they don't choose me as their lawyer, get a lawyer that you can trust who's going to help you get fair and just compensation for your damages. I've represented thousands of clients in cases like this for the last 20 years. I've gotten hundreds of millions of dollars in recoveries for cases in just this type of circumstance. If you have a question, you have a concern, give me a shout and I'll make sure you get the justice you deserve. So hopefully that gives you an overview as to what I think about when I see one of these awful explosions occur. What do you want to know about? What questions do you have in situations like this? Leave a comment, ask us a question. Let us know what information we need to be covering in future. Until next time, this is DLAW.